Hello, chess friends. Two bishops are deadly in the hands of an assassin. I was playing the black pieces. Let's get started. After d4, knight f6, c4, knight c3, bishop b4, as a very formidable and resourceful player myself, I decided to play the Nimzo Indian defense. Queen c2. My opponent played this move, which is the classical variation. The idea is to keep black from doubling white's pawns on the c-file. For instance, if bishop takes knight on c3, then white can just recapture with the queen. c5, dc5, queen c7, a3, bishop takes c5, b4, bishop b7, knight b5, queen c6, knight f3, d6, knight on f to d4, queen b6. e3 was played in the game, but if bishop to e3, then I'll just drop the queen back to d8. So after e3, a6, knight c3, castle king side, bishop e2, knight b to d7, castle king side, queen c7, followed by e4. White began a king side pawn assault by playing e4, followed by pawn f2 to f4. And I just continue with my plans on the queen side, b6, f4. My counter strategy was to target the pawn on e4 after playing the bishop to b7, and also white's knight on d4 by rerouting my bishop to b6 via d8. And yes, white's pawn center may look impressive, but don't let it mislead you. Bishop b7, bishop b2, rook ac8, rook on a to c1. White has to watch out for typical pawn breaks such as b5, d5, and e5. And now let's continue. The move I played here was queen to b8. And after queen b8, queen d3, rook fe8, queen g3, bishop d8, knight b3, and e5. e5 doesn't work here. If e5, then d takes e5, followed by pawn on f takes e5. And after the recapture, then bishop to c7 pins the pawn to the queen. And the pawn will fall on the next move. So the move played here was knight b3, and the game continued e5. I played my pawn to e5 in order to claim a stake in the center. If white does not take on e5, then I will just capture on f4 and will follow up with knight to e5 for a post. Okay, knight takes b5. Now it's time for my bishops to spring into action. Bishop to c6, putting it on an active square. Bishop to d7, queen f2. I noticed the weakness of the pawn on d6, but this is offset by my gain of tempo. Bishop to h3, rook on f to d1, and now knight g4 attacks queen. And now I'm getting a lot of counterplay for my pieces. Bishop takes g4, knight takes g4. My idea now is to swing my rook over to g6, where it will x-ray the king on g1. Knight e5, Now my knight, however, is being hit by the queen on f4, knight f3, bishop on b2. And my pawn on d6 is hit twice. The idea for white is to remove the defender. Knight d4, rook g6, knight takes d6, removing the defender of the knight on e5. Okay, queen takes d6. Alright, knight b5, a discovered attack on the queen, and also the knight on e5. Queen c5 check, bishop to d4, and bishop to g5. Now the game is tactical here. Note that bishop on g5, bishop to g5 is an assassin's move. Now if bishop takes on c5, then I'll just proceed with bishop takes f4. Queen takes e5 was played in the game, and the game continued with queen takes e5, bishop takes e5, and now bishop e3 check first, moving the king over to the h file, and now bishop takes c1, rook takes c1, and black is already winning. The pawn on c4 will fall, converting a winning game into a won game. Rook to e8 skewers the bishop, bishop f4, and rook takes e4. Now it's only a matter of time. Pawn to g5. I played this move only because I wanted to add a little humor to the game by sacrificing a pawn on g5, creating some loot for my king, and after accepting the pawn, I went on to win my game after pawn to f6. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for my next video.